What's up, wealth builders? Rayn Pineda here. Today we've got another masterclass, and in this one I'm going to be going over how to make $250,000 a year, why that's important, and how you need to budget that money once you are making it, so that not only are you living a great life, but you're building towards your future and investing the money the right way. So if you're not currently making $250,000 yet, this video is for you. If you are, then you can figure out how you should be using that money in the best way to have a great life today and have a better future tomorrow. But before we get into that, if you're new to my channel, my name's Rayn Pineda. I've started 7 different businesses doing 7 to 8 figures. I've flipped over 500 homes. I own over 550 plus rental units. And so everything that I teach on this channel is just from my own life experience running these businesses and buying this real estate and just doing all these different things. So what I'm telling you here is not theory. It is from my own experience on what I have come to believe from myself and from teaching thousands of others the same. So that being said, let's hop into this. 250,000, okay? Where exactly does that number come from? How do you go about making it? What's the best path, especially if you have no skills or anything close to making that? Well, before we talk about how to make 250K, we gotta first ask the question, why? Why 250K? You know, before ever trying to achieve a goal, you got to first understand why you want to achieve the goal. If you just say, oh, I want to make $1 million, but you don't know why you want to make $1 million, I can promise you, you're probably not going to make $1 million. Your why has to exceed the amount of work that it's going to take to get there. So if you don't have a strong why, then very likely you're going to quit when the time gets tough. So we got to first define why 250K matters. Well, many of you right now are probably dealing with this. This is in the headlines everywhere. Inflation, okay? Inflation is the big thing everyone's talking about. Obviously, housing has gone up significantly in the last few years. Interest rates have gone up, car prices, food, gas, all that stuff is going up. And so you've got to make more money to just maintain the same lifestyle that you currently have. That's a scary proposition for many people. I mean, when I was growing up, if your parents were making $100,000 a year, you felt like you were rich. Today, if you have a spouse, if you've got kids, and you live in any kind of like major city, probably 100K ain't doing much for you, okay? So we gotta first define what is an actual good goal to live a great life and to have enough left over to do the things we wanna do, like give to charities or church or anything like that, to invest, to go on good vacations, and just live a good life, okay? So before going into the how of making 250, let's just go over the numbers of why 250 is an important number as of today. So budget, okay? If we were to go and create our dream lifestyle, okay, for the average American, all right? And I'm not talking about like the frugal lifestyle, okay? Because we all have to start somewhere. When I was starting out, I was actually a minor league baseball player who was making $1,200 a month. When I was 21 years old, that's what I got paid from the Oakland A's. Now, that's obviously like no money. And many of you guys right now are not making a ton of money, and so you're living very frugally because that's what has to happen, okay? And so I'm not over here saying you need to go buy a nice car right away or any of that stuff. But what I am saying is you should have goals for what you're trying to get to, okay? So I want to just give you the scenario of what I think a good first goal is. Because at the end of the day, 250 to me affords you like a really good life. Sure, you could go make $1 million, but I'll tell you, I've never spent $1 million in a year. I don't need to, and I live a really good life, you know, on much less than $1 million. And so I think 250 is the goal for living like a really good life that people just really aspire for. So let's just break down the budgets of what it would look like living on 250. So first off, your home, okay? Now, obviously everyone lives in a different spot, so home pricing is going to be different for everyone, but the median price in America right now is about $400,000 plus, you know, somewhere around there. And if you got a mortgage on the entire $400,000, I mean, you're looking at probably $2,500 to $3,000 a month, just kind of depends on the city and the market you're in. So for us, if we're trying to live a great life, we don't want to like be in the median. We want to probably be a level above that. So let's just say, you know, a $500,000 home gets us what we're looking for. We've got room for our kids, you know, and let's just use an average American family, not a single dude who's young, but let's just say someone like me, who's got a wife and 2 kids. I got a third on the way right now. So we're gonna use me as an example, okay? And I wanna live in, a major city like a Las Vegas. So I'll just use myself for an example, right? Because I'm probably the typical American demographic, okay? Now, 35, or let's just say it's a $500,000 home, which would get you a great house in a great neighborhood here in Las Vegas. You'd be doing really well. Just depending on how much money you put down on the home, it's gonna vary, but I'm gonna say that your home mortgage is probably gonna be in the range of $3,000 to $3,500. So let's just say on the high side, $3,500 is what your mortgage is, okay? Now, let's go to the next things, okay? We've got cars, all right? Some of you guys may not care about cars. I mean, when I was trying to build wealth, I didn't care about cars. I mean, I was driving a $10,000 car when I was a millionaire. So car was the last thing that I got. But, now I've got nice cars, and I've got a Porsche, a Cadillac, or an Escalade. I just bought a new Model X Plaid. So I'm a big car guy now, but it was way down the road later. So for me, I think you could get away with a pretty good car. I don't think you got to get a $10,000 car like I did and be super extreme, but there's no reason that you couldn't have, say, a Tesla Model 3 or a Tesla Model Y or something like that. And, depending on how many cars you have in the family, maybe you got one really nice car, maybe you have one that's kind of not so great, but let's just say your average car payment, for just simplicity's sake, is $1,000 a month for both of them, okay? We'll just say that's the average here. I would suggest when you're in this stage, buying a used car is a smart idea. That's what I was always doing. Never bought new until later in life. But you've got your home, you've got your cars. Let's just say you've got insurance. Maybe your job provides for it, maybe it doesn't. But if you're gonna do what I'm gonna teach you for $250K, then you're gonna have to probably buy your own insurance because you're now becoming an entrepreneur. But let's just say you're gonna spend another $1,000 a month. Insurance is expensive depending on what it is you get, but you've got that right there. Now let's just say you've got your utilities, all right? So utilities in the house, I mean, this is gonna vary from everyone, but I don't know, let's just put $500 here for utilities. Okay, another thing would be, car insurance, right? Once again, this is gonna vary from everyone, but let's just say, it's, I don't know, I'll go on the high side here, $500 for car insurance per month. And then let's say you got to go eat food. So, I spend a lot of money on food in my life today, but let's just say food's about, I don't know, $1,000. Let's just think, if you could spend $50 a day, on your meals, if you're cooking everything, that would be, about $350. So let's just say you spend another about $2,000 on food, not eating out, but just the food for you and your family, right? Not just for you alone, but food for everyone. Let's say that, these cover most of the necessities in life. There's not a ton of other stuff that you'd have big expense-wise. So before we get into the fun stuff, let's just say, okay, this is $4,500, $1,000, $500, so that's $5,500, $6,000, $6,500. This is $8,500, right? All right, so you're already $8,500, and let's also add, right? If you're making $250K a year, you're gonna have taxes, right? So let's just say taxes are gonna be about 20%. So 20% of, call it 20 grand a month, is $4,000. All right, so you're paying $4,000 in tax. Now we got to get to the fun stuff, right? So let's just say, vacations. All right. If you were to just put a monthly budget on it, let's say you went on a vacation, a few times a year, and it cost you a few $1,000s every time you went, basically that probably come out to an average of $1,000 a month if you averaged it out over the entire year. Let's just say discretion. This could be like going out, this could be like clothes, movies, all that stuff. I'm gonna just say like $1,500 a month here in discretionary spending. And, overall, this is pretty much it. You could also say like school. if you're putting your kids in private school or daycare or anything like that, let's just throw $1,000 a month here. Some will do it, some won't. But overall, where does that leave us? Okay, 8,500, 12,500, 13,500, 15, 16. So we're at $16,000. And if you're making $250, a year, you're basically making $20,000. All right. So basically, you have now $4,000 a month in discretion. Well, not discretionary, but you're living a good life at this point. You're living on 80% of your income, and now you have this $4,000 left over. And what most people do is they give. Well, not most people. Most people don't give, but I'm just telling you, you can give $2,000 there, and then you can invest $2,000. Okay, so what this means is, this is a very common structure that people do. They say, hey, I want to, live off 80%. I want to give 10%. The give and the live look very similar. And then I want to invest 10. All right. So this is the bare minimum framework to follow if you're trying to maximize lifestyle first and foremost, and then still have enough left over to give and invest. Now, many of you watching this are probably like, well, I want to maximize investing, and that's great. That's what I was doing when I was younger. So, maybe you're going to end up cutting some expenses here that we had talked about, and maybe now you're going to be able to invest, call it 30%, and live off of, 60%. Either way, okay, at 250K, all I'm saying is you can hit all your goals. You can be generous, you can live a great life, you can still have money left over to invest. There's a lot you can do, okay? So this is why 250,000 is the bare minimum for what you need to make, especially in today's society with inflation and everything happening in the world. So let me know in the comments, do you agree? 250 should be our minimum target, okay? Let me know in the comments right now. Tell me, do you think 250 should be the minimum target? Because here's the cool thing about 250 as well, is that I told you basically what it costs to live a cool life. You're talking $16,000 gets you a really cool life, right? Well, not even, because you got taxes. So basically 12K a month gets you a really good life, all right? So, for us, we got to decide, well, if that remains steady as we grow, then everything above 250 ends up just going to investing or giving, whatever your choice is. So you could still live on that, live a great life, but then you go make 350K, and so now you can invest, instead of 2,000 a month, you can go invest 10,000 a month, right? So for me, I always want to just figure out, how can I make more income instead of trying to mix and match these pieces for my budget. And this is a good lesson for all of you guys who are brand new to this channel, okay? There are two types of people in this world, okay? There are savers, and then there are earners, all right? Now, here's the thing. Most of you guys, if you follow like Dave Ramsey, you would follow into the saver's mindset. You would think that your income is capped wherever it is. Whereas people who are in the earner's mindset, like myself, we think about, well, what kind of life do I want to live, and how do I make enough money to achieve that? If I want to give a certain amount of money, if I want to live a certain way, and I want to invest a certain amount of money every year, I just got to figure out, how do I earn more money? That's it. Instead of trying to say, well, this is my income, it's probably what I'm going to make, and it is the way it is. No, don't do that, okay? We got to just say, hey, how can I go from saver to earner? Which leads me to the next point, right? If we're going with the earner mentality, how do we get to 250, right? Because most of you guys watching this right now probably aren't at 250 yet. So how do we go get to that number, right? Well, the first thing we got to realize is it's not going to really come from investing. A lot of people think that, oh, well, I got to get into real estate, and so if I buy a rental property today, then, it's going to appreciate, and all that is true. Real estate is an amazing tool. I'm always a big advocate of real estate, and you'll hear why, later on in this video. But you're not going to get to 250K a year by just buying rental properties. That's not how it works, okay? what you have to figure out is not your investing strategy. You need to figure out a skill. You point blank lack a skill right now that makes 250K, and that's why you don't make it. But if you have a skill, you can totally make it. Now, what are some examples of skills that can make you 250K? Well, I'll tell you which one I think you should do, but I'm just going to give you some ideas off the bat, right? One idea, sales. A lot of salespeople make 250K. They don't even have their own business. They work for somebody else. I have salespeople on my team that make 250K. All right? Another one, okay? Let's just say creator. Right now I'm on YouTube making videos. Lots of YouTubers and content creators and influencers make 250K just from putting out content, right? Another one, tech. For any of you guys who are in tech, you know, you can go get careers and jobs that make 250K. Now, for most of these, what I'm bringing up is that, you know, many of them are jobs that you can go work for other people, and you got to be really good at those jobs. You got to be really good at tech if you want to make 250. You got to be really good at sales if you want to make 250. You know, if you're going to be on the creation side, you can work for yourself, or, you know, I even have people on my staff on the content team that make that kind of money because the value that they bring to the table is worth that much, right? You know, another one could be copywriting, right? For somebody who does really good ads and persuasives. You know, another part of that would just be like media buyers, media creators, all those things. These are all different skills that can make you 250. But here's what I'll say. The best skill, and you guys already kind of know where I'm going with this, but it's real estate, okay? At the end of the day, the best skill and easiest way to get to 250 is from real estate investing. And the reason I say this is, there's a lot of reasons I say this, but, you know, let me just tell you, on these three, I believe it's easier to learn how to do real estate than learn any of these. Okay, point blank, it's harder to become a content creator than it is to become great at real estate. It's harder to become a good salesperson than it is at real estate. Definitely harder to get into tech than it is in real estate. Same thing with media and copywriting and everything else. I believe that real estate is a skill is easier to learn. I also believe that real estate has way more scale. So unlike these other skills, like you're gonna kind of be capped out at what you can do over here. With real estate, you could scale this business and this skill to big levels. I mean, I told you I flipped over 500 homes. You know, I know people who have done way more than that. The scale that you can get with real estate's amazing. Many of our students in Wealthy Investor do the same. You know, if you didn't know, I have a coaching program called Wealthy Investor. You can learn more about it at wealthyinvestor.com and book a free call with our team. But, you know, real estate has immense scale relative to those other ones. Also, too, real estate helps you with the next stage where you have that money left over to invest, okay? With sales, it's not like you learned how to invest. You're gonna make money, but then you don't really know what to do with it. With real estate, if you can use it to make your money, you can also use it to invest your money into making more money for you, right? So think of that like this. The skill is the thing that you do every day to make money and active income. Investing is when you have money and you're now able to use your money to make more money. And so the best people in the world are really good at both, all right? They're really good at developing skills that make a lot of money. So think really big house flippers and wholesalers, think really big YouTubers, really great entrepreneurs who start businesses. They're all really good at making money. But then the best ones are good at taking that money and investing it, right? I would also say athletes are another bucket in here, right? As a former athlete, you know, I've met so many athletes that, you know, make millions of dollars, and then they get with good people who can go invest the money for them, okay? So investing is a major thing, you know, that real estate provides that none of these other ones. Another thing that real estate provides that no other thing does are tax advantages, okay? With real estate, you ever wonder how all these guys claim to pay no taxes, how Donald Trump didn't pay any taxes? It wasn't because he was like avoiding the IRS. It's because he had real estate. Real estate is what allows people to pay no tax. And you know, this training, this masterclass isn't about that. Okay, I have a bunch of other videos that I talk about why real estate's the best tax vehicle, but and maybe I'll link to some of those down below. But with real estate, you get tax advantages, and there's possibilities where if you buy enough rental properties through things we call depreciation and cost segregations, you can end up paying no taxes. So when I think about the best skill to learn, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to pick something that makes 250. I'd rather pick something that has scale. I'd rather pick something that allows me to learn investing, and I'd rather pick something that allows me to not pay taxes, right? Like none of those other skills do that for you. So to that end, hopefully you guys understand why I make the case for real estate and why I think you guys should all get into real estate as well, okay? So that being said, if we were to go say, yes, real estate is what I'm going to choose, now what, Ryan? Well, good question. So the first key when it comes to real estate is figuring out, okay, what do I want to do that's going to make me $250 a year? Now, there are really two options here that I like, okay? You can flip or wholesale, all right? Wholesale, well, actually, let me explain flip, okay? Flip is pretty simple. You buy a house, it's like what you guys saw on HGTV, you fix it up, you make a profit, okay? And, you know, wholesale, well, before I go into wholesale, let me actually break down flip even more. So flips is interesting, right? If we were to go take these $500,000 homes that we're talking about, you know, on us, we try to average 10% profit on whatever the sale price is. So on a $500,000 home, we would try to make $50,000. That would be our goal. So if I wanted to make $250 a year, all I got to do is get 5 house flips, right? 5 house flips at, that's my at sign, by the way, 50K profit. So if you get 5 house flips at 50K profit, you make $250 a year. Like it's that simple, you know, and I believe, tell me in the comments too if you believe, if you had the right training and expertise and foundation and system and process and mentorship, do you think that you could find 5 deals this year? I think you could. We can definitely help you, a wealthy investor, do that, okay? Now, let's talk about wholesaling, all right? Wholesaling is like flipping, but it's a little bit different, all right? I'll just break it down with a quick picture of what wholesaling actually is. So what wholesaling is you've got a seller, and then you've got this person who's called the wholesaler, and this person's not like Costco or anything. He is just a person who's a professional at finding deals. Now, what happens is the seller and him agree on the wholesaler buying the house for, say, $300,000, right? Let's just say he has a contract to buy this for $300K. Well, in a traditional sense, for what most people think, they would have to go buy the property, and then they would have to go fix it up, just like on a flip, and sell it for a profit. But did you know you can actually sell the contract to another buyer? So instead of having to buy it yourself and find the money and all that stuff, the wholesaler just finds the deal, and they find a buyer who's willing to pay them more than what they have it under contract for. So let's just say I, Ryan, am the buyer. Well, let's just say I run my numbers and I'm like, yo, I can pay $330,000 for this because I believe after I fix it up and I do the repairs, I'm gonna sell it for $450,000 and I'm going to make a $45,000 profit, right? So what happens is the wholesaler ends up assigning me the contract, basically selling me the contract, and they're gonna make whatever it is I was willing to pay minus whatever they have it under contract. So in this case, I'm willing to pay $330,000, and so they are going to get $30,000 as what's called a wholesale fee or an assignment fee. So what ends up happening is, they assign it. This end buyer now gets the home. The end buyer pays the wholesaler $30K. They're paying the seller now $300K, and the wholesaler, is just selling this contract to the buyer. That's how it works. It's pretty simple. We've done millions of dollars of wholesale fees. We have bought from wholesalers and paid millions of dollars in fees. So wholesaling is a great way to get started. Now, typically with wholesaling, the profit you make is going to be less than a flip, right? Because if it has to be a good deal, and you have to have enough meat on the bone for the end buyer to make what they need to make. So, in that end, going back to our first example of how do you get to 250, let's just say the average wholesale fee is, call it, let's just be conservative. We'll say 20K. All right, you're in a better market. There are some markets where 6 figures is average. There are some where 5,000 to 10,000 is average. Depends on the price point of the home, right? The bigger the price point of the home, let's just say you're wholesaling multi-million-dollar homes, you can make way bigger spreads. But if you're selling a $50,000 home, the spread that you make on the wholesale fee is going to be significantly less. So your average assignment fee, wholesale fee, whatever you want to call it, is going to be dictated on that. But let's just say it's 20K. Well, at 20K, that means we basically need to get 21 homes, almost 2 a month. So if we go the wholesale route, we want to get at least, call it 2 wholesales a month to hit our goal of 250K a year. All right. Now for us at my company, our goal is to get 1 wholesale a day. I mean, we don't hit it, but we at least get multiple per week every single week, and that's how we've run our business. I've flipped a lot of homes, I've wholesaled a lot of homes, but wholesaling is a great way to get started, and one of these 2 paths is going to lead you into making 250K. Now, once you've made 250K, all right, the cool thing about real estate is you're now going to figure out how you can start building long-term wealth, all right? So, for example, okay, if you're making that 250, all of a sudden you get another deal, okay? Let's just say this house, instead of flipping it and trying to go make the money you were gonna make, you decide to keep it as a rental, all right? Now this rental, let's just say, you're all in at 400K and it's worth 500K. Well, something cool is gonna happen here by keeping just one property as a rental, all right? First thing is, you're gonna have $100,000 of net worth, all right? So you have net worth now that, you otherwise wouldn't have had, and guess what? Net worth doesn't get taxed. So you're gonna have $100,000 of new net worth because it's worth 500, you got it for 400, all right? Second thing that's gonna happen is, if it's the right deal, you're gonna get cash flow. Now, contrary to popular belief, most people think that cash flow is like where everyone should get and where everyone makes all their money, but truthfully, cash flow is not like that crazy of a number, okay? Cash flow is something that, is good to know, but in reality, most people aren't ever gonna live off their cash flow from real estate, all right? So, cash flow wise, maybe you make a couple $100 a month, but it's not gonna be life changing. This 100K that you just increased your net worth by, that's where the life change happens, and I'll show you why here in a sec. But another thing you're gonna get here is the tax advantages, right? So we talked about that earlier, but you're gonna get tax advantages by buying real estate. And if you bought this specific deal that I'm talking about at 400K, all right? I'm not explaining how depreciation and all that works right now, but just know if you did a cost segregation study, this tax advantage could be worth $120,000 write-off, okay? You could have $120,000 write-off by just buying this property. So if we're just talking about you making 250K, remember that number, if you wrote off 120K of it, now your tax liability is only on 130K. So what does that mean? Well, your taxes you're gonna pay are significantly less because you're not getting taxed on 250. Now it's just 130. And at 130, you're in a lower tax bracket too. So, your tax bill might only end up being, call it, let's say 20K, maybe less, versus before we were estimating that you were gonna probably pay, 40 to 50K in taxes. So basically by buying this rental property, the tax advantage made you an extra 20 to 30K this year, like cash in your pocket because you got the tax advantage. And guess what? If you happen to buy 2 of these, right, everything doubles. This now becomes 200K of net worth. You get double cash flow, and now you get another 120K of write-off. So guess what happens? You know, you're 130, now you get another 120K of write-off. Now your taxable income is 10K. That's basically not paying any taxes. That's what it comes down to, okay? So that's how the rich pay no taxes. They literally just buy rental properties, okay? And it's through a cool thing called depreciation that is 100% legal. The IRS allows it. It's great. So tax advantages are the huge one. And then the last piece that helps you build wealth is principal pay down, okay? So by renting this out to a tenant, you're gonna get principal pay down. And so every single month, this number of equity is increasing because guess what? Your loan for $400,000 is going down. And then you get this other benefit, and it's the best benefit, of appreciation, all right? So every single year, this number 400K is going down, and this 500K is going up. Now, this is definitely gonna go down every year, okay? Because that's just how the loans work. This number may fluctuate a little bit, but in the long run, is always going up, all right? So let's just think about this, okay? You're now making $250 a year, all right? You are buying 2 rentals a year, all right? Now you might be saying, Ryan, how am I gonna buy 2 rentals a year? Because in your model originally, I was only like able to invest 10% of my money, $2,000 a month. Well, if you figure out how to flip houses and raise capital and you're getting great deals, you can do things called like the BRRRR strategy, okay? Which is just buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And basically, you can get these rental properties for no money out of your pocket, okay? It's really cool. If you get a good enough deal, you can literally own rental properties for no money out of your pocket. So you don't even need the $2,000 to invest because you've built a business that finds deals, that fixes up deals, and then in turn is going to allow you to refinance, all right? So don't worry, we teach all this stuff at Wealthy Investor, but I wanna give you the big picture of how all of this works so that you understand why real estate is the best choice to make $250 and build wealth long term, all right? So let's just say you're making $250 and you decide to buy 2 rentals, right? So let's time this out over 5 years and watch what happens, okay? So in year 1, all right, you bought 2 rentals. What happened was you had 200K of equity, all right? Great. Year 2, you bought another 2 rentals. So let's just say you get another 200K here, but then this one now goes up to, let's just say, you know, a 5% increase, which, you know, give or take whatever you want to call it, but the last couple of years we've had way bigger increases. So 5% increase on 200K is 210K now, all right? But also, you got principal pay down during that time. So let's just say you got another 10K of pay down. So now you're at 220K, right? That's your equity because you had pay down plus appreciation, all right? And now you got another one for 200K, right? So now it's going to year 3, all right? The same one, let's just say it keeps following the same thing, all right? So now this is at 240K. This one's now at 220K. And then you bought a new one for 200K. Okay? And by the way, you're not paying taxes during this time because you keep buying more rental properties. All right? Year 4, let's start getting aggressive. Things start to really pick up. We have a good year. This one is now worth, let's just say, 280K in equity because you had principal pay down. We had a good year of appreciation. You know, this one's worth 250, this one's worth 230, and then you bought 2 more again at 200K. Now, truthfully, you would be buying way more than this because you're making, you know, ideally your business is growing, getting better. I'm like assuming you just keep making 250 and you don't get any better at what you do, which totally is not gonna happen, all right? If you're part of our team and our program and our community, we're gonna push you to get better, all right? But for all intents and purposes, I wanna just show you like, like the flatline scenario, of how this plays out. So in year 5, you go into it, same deal. Let's just say this goes to 320K, this goes to 280K, this goes to 260K, this is at 220, and then you got another one at 200K. So let's talk about this, all right? In 5 years, what's your net worth on just making 250K a year for 5 years straight in real estate, all right? Not having any growth on your 250, but just getting good at it, okay? Well, that's 600K, you know, you're at $1,080,000, you know, 1.28 million in net worth. So you've made 1.2, I mean, you're a millionaire in 5 years, all right? So you have 1.28 million in net worth, all right? You have the last 5 years to follow my plan. You've lived a great life. Okay. Also, too, we didn't even count your primary house. If you bought your primary house in year 1, you know, it's gone up a lot. But, you know, you've built your net worth. You've got a great life. You've got an amazing skill that you can do the rest of your life. Real estate ain't going anywhere, you know. It's an important skill to have. And you can just do this like literally forever, over and over again. And if you get better and you start making, call it 500K a year, and you know, you start investing that into buying more rentals, not just 2 a year, but buying 5 a year, 10 a year. I mean, that's how you start to just amplify your wealth really quickly. You could easily get into the multi-millions within 5 years. You could easily, you know, one day have a net worth over $10 million if you just keep buying real estate. And the best part about real estate is the perfect hedge, all right? Because think about it, right? Number one, inflation helps it. You know, most people are complaining about inflation. It's because they don't have any assets. You know, when inflation happens, real estate goes up. I can tell you all the properties that I've owned the last bunch of years as rentals, they've gone up tremendously. So it's an amazing asset to have as inflation happens. The second thing that real estate provides is it's real, okay? Unlike stocks or crypto or any of these other things, which, you know, I have some of all of it, but I'm just telling you, real estate's my favorite because it's real. I can go walk into it, I can see it, I can do other things to it to make it more valuable. You know, I can Airbnb it, you know, we can do assisted living, we could do normal long-term rentals, I could throw parties in it, events. Like, at the end of the day, real estate is real. And so for me, you know, it just becomes, do you want to, you know, if you're gonna build an investing strategy, if you're gonna build a skill that's gonna make you 250, like, I don't know that anyone could tell me there's a better skill to learn than real estate, all right? So all that being said, a lot of you guys are probably wondering, okay, well, I'm bought in on real estate. How do I figure this out? Well, I wanna give you some tips to figure it out. I also wanna tell you, you know, for those of you who are interested in being coached directly by me and my team, you know, we have thousands of students in our programs. We have live events. We have weekly coaching calls. If you just go to wealthyinvestor.com, you can book a free strategy call with someone from my team, and we can help you get started on executing this plan I'm telling you about. You know, for me, I've just really enjoyed teaching. You know, that's why I like doing videos like this. We've had so many students' lives changed. We've built, last year alone, we had 30 people on stage who made over 7 figures last year. Okay, we honored those people that made 7 figures plus in their real estate business. And so this year we hope to have way more, and I would love for you to one day be a part of that. But yeah, it all starts with going to wealthyinvestor.com. Now, let's just say you want to get into flip or wholesale, all right? Because as we know, if you learn how to flip, you know, you can end up buying rentals anyway, right? Because there are 3 components that flipping does that prepares you for anything you want to do, right? The first is you learn how to find good deals. Okay, that's the key component to flips. If you can't find a good deal, you won't make money. If you can't find a good deal, you can't wholesale. So deals are always the foundation of everything we do in real estate, all right? Second thing you gotta learn is money. So how do we find money, right? So many people struggle with this, and I'll tell you, for me, I got my real estate license back in 2010, and I didn't flip my first house until 2015. And the reason was money. I had this big belief that, man, if I didn't have all cash, there's no way I could do this. And so I just felt like I needed all this money, and nobody had it. Nobody around me had money. It was 2010. Everybody had just either lost their house, gone bankrupt, had a short sale, lost their business, lost their job. You know, my family included. You know, my family lost all of their businesses. They lost the childhood home I grew up in. And so in 2010, when I'm getting started, we're like at the all-time low coming out of the crash, and I just didn't know anyone with money. But I also didn't, you know, have things like YouTube and, you know, TikTok and Instagram. Like, they just didn't really exist in the way they do now, where, you know, now you could watch a video like this completely for free and have your mind open to what's possible. It didn't exist back then. And so I had a lot of false beliefs about money, but let me tell you guys this. Money is literally the easiest thing to find in real estate. If you have a really good deal, the money is easy to find, okay? And I've done plenty of videos about how to find money. Like, I'm not telling you right now, like, oh man, I'm trying to hold something back so you join coaching. No, like, I'm gonna link to some videos after this talking about the things more in depth that we're discussing, how to find deals, how to find money. And then lastly, contractors, right? You got to get these properties fixed up. So I have videos on YouTube on all of those subjects: deals, money, contractors, managing them, finding them, all those things, right? So, you know, in the end, these are the 3 skills that you learn with flipping houses, okay? If you can master all 3 of these, guess what? You could do anything you want in real estate. If you know how to find deals, you can do apartments, right? I started off in single family, and then I eventually branched off into doing apartments and syndications and all that stuff. It was because I already knew how to evaluate deals, I already knew how to raise money, and I already knew how to manage projects, right? You can branch off into storage, you know. Like I said, if you know how to do these things, you can wholesale. Most of the people with money are gonna be the ones that are your end buyers anyway, that you're gonna sell the contractors to. And truthfully, this is what real estate has done for me later on down the road, was that it allowed me to get into other businesses. You know, now I have businesses in multiple different industries. You know, it's not just all real estate stuff. And I built 7- and 8-figure businesses in those industries. And it's because, you know, learning these things helped me, you know, start other businesses. I had to learn how to raise money. I had to learn how to negotiate and do deals. I had to learn how to get things fixed up and run an actual operation in business. And in turn, you know, all these skills ended up translating to everything else I started to do. You know, when I decided I wanted to be on YouTube and make content, I was like, all right, well, you know, I'm going to use my experience from building my real estate business to go build, you know, basically a content business. Let me build a team around making content, so it's not just all on me to like edit and film and post and all this stuff. It's like, no, I'm doing this today on the camera, and then the team's doing the rest. They're taking this, they're editing it, they're posting it, they're doing all the cool stuff, okay? So real estate obviously helps you just on its own, but if you do this right and you do it long enough, it will end up helping you for other endeavors later on as well. But in the end, hopefully that brought you clarity on why 250K is important, what are some ways to get there, why I think real estate is the best, and really what steps you need to take in order to not only make the 250, but eventually become a millionaire, then a multimillionaire. So I'd love to help you out a part of the journey at Wealthy Investor. As I said, and as I promised, I'm gonna be linking to some other videos that you can watch to go way deeper in on those subjects. And I'll actually have one coming right now after this video. All you gotta do is just click here and it will go in depth on some of the things we're talking about. So hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next video. Today, I am going to give you my most comprehensive guide on how to flip a house. We're gonna go through every step of the process, all the way from choosing your real estate market, to finding a deal, to finding the money for the deal, to eventually getting it fixed up and sold for a profit.